Peace, family. Hey, y'all. Hey, listen. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Welcome back to Karen's World. Okay, y'all. So I wanted to come on. Oh, wait. Let me look. Let me find my notes. I wanted to come on really quick because I wanted to talk about 5 things or 5 lessons that Africans, what should I say, Continental Africans should learn from African Americans. 5 things that Continental Africans should learn from African Americans. Now, these 5 things, because I used to think about this all the time, even before I came to the continent, right? And so these things are pretty much sharing what not to do, okay? Sharing what not to do. These are some lessons that Continental Africans need to learn. You guys need to look at some of the African American history and look at the things that did not serve us and go a different route. Don't come down the same path, okay? So the first thing is, don't abandon your village. Don't abandon your village, okay? And so African Americans, we have a new village now, right? But there was a time where African Americans lived in, a lot of us, not all, but a lot of us live in villages, but we called our village the country. And so, especially in the southern parts of America, Louisiana, Texas, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. So these are just a few states that I've just named that's in the South, right? And so Mississippi, we had country. A lot of our ancestors and great grandparents lived in the country. And so when we lived in the country, we did agriculture, we farmed, we ate off the land, and it was the country. And so as time progressed, the way of life, or to progress in life, was to move in a city. Okay. And so when you moved to the city, you were prestigious, I guess, as for lack of a better term, or you've made it, you're successful when you move to the city. So when you leave, you're no longer what we used to call a country bumpkin. You're no longer country bumpkin. You move to the city. Now that's a sign of success. So a lot of us, we left the country, we moved to the city. We rented apartments, we rented houses, we worked, we got in corporate America. And so then our children, followed suit and did pretty much the same thing. So we left a lot of our grandparents and, a few cousins here or there back in the country, right? And so when those people got older, no one no longer wanted to live in the country. No one no longer, the new generations did not want to keep up grandma or grandfather's house or land back in the country, because the city life was the better life. And so a lot of us abandoned the country. And so a lot of homes were lost, a lot of lands, were lost to cities and states because taxes were not paid by the family. And so we did lose, a lot of land. And so now a lot of us are living in cities, renting apartments. Some of us own our houses for 30 years. We have abandoned, paid off houses. We have abandoned, paid off land and moved to the city and got into debt. And we are continuing that cycle, right? There's a few of us that's trying to get back to the country, right? As a matter of fact, before I moved, I lived in the country. I went back to the country, right? Let me tell you, and I see that here. where it's a better way of life to move to the city, and it's a better way of life to make a living. And I understand that, but don't abandon your village. Your village, the homes in your village, I don't care if they're falling apart. They're paid for. Your land is paid for. You're not in debt in your homes and your villages. So I do know here on the continent, a lot of people still, holidays and stuff like that, if something happened. And this is what I love, about some of the Kenyans, especially with COVID, a lot of people just went back to their villages, right? And so I like that. But I also see a lot of continental Africans wanting a Western life and moving to the cities, even on the continent, right? So it's okay if you want to move to the city, but don't do like us and abandon your village. As a matter of fact, your village, investing in your village, building homes in your village. If there's an issue with water or whatever the case may be, if you have your grandmothers and your uncles back in the village, invest your money in the village. Build you a house in your village. That's your retirement plan, right? To have a paid off house on paid off land. You wouldn't need to be in the city as much if you set your life up where you can be successful in the village. Okay? So, and let me say this is not everybody, this is not every African American, this is not every African. I'm just giving you guys just some broad tips and some lessons that y'all need to learn. A lot of mistakes that we made, and y'all don't want to make those mistakes, okay? Because we're African people also. We just were born in the West. The second thing, don't allow the government to tell you how to raise your children. Don't allow the government to tell you how to raise your children, okay? In America, you can't even spank your child in public. You cannot spank your child. I don't see anything wrong with spanking a child. See, this is why I don't see children in my practice. Let me say this. This is the views and the opinions of Karen on Karen's World. This is not the views and the opinions of Infinity 8 LLC. Because this is why I do not see adolescents in my practice. I don't see children. That's in the West. I don't see adolescents. I don't see children. I don't see the parents with their children, because I would probably lose my license. Okay? But anyway, don't allow the government to tell you how to raise your children. Okay? You need to be the strongest voice in your children's lives. I am not talking about abuse. I'm 100% against abusing a child. I'm 100% against neglecting a child. And that neglect is also emotional neglect, okay? I'm 100% against abuse and neglect, but I'm not against discipline, okay? And so the government would tell you how to discipline your child. You birthed these babies. The Most High ordained you to birth these babies. Whatever the rules are in your household, whatever the value system is in your household, whatever the standards in your household, that's your household. The government don't get to tell you what the standards should be in your house. Okay? What's the more? Is that child born into a Christian house? Is that child born into a Christian house? And you and your husband, or even if you're a single mom or a single dad, what's the rules of your Christian household? Whatever the rules are in your Christian household, that child must abide by the rules and the laws in your house. The government don't get to tell you that. Okay? When that child turns 18, when that child is on their own, they get to establish the rules for their house. Okay? But a child don't get to tell the parent what the rules should be. And so when the government try to tell you, and I'm going to use, because this is a hot topic, and so I'm going to use this. Okay, I'm going to use this as an example. Don't y'all come in here how about, oh, she homophobic and all that stuff. No, I'm not. So don't come with that. But this is a good example because it's such a, a hot topic. If you are a Christian and your 13-year-old come home and say that they believe that they're gay, okay? If it's against what those adults, the mama and the daddy or the mama, the adults in that house who take care of the house and run the house, if it's against the morals and the values of those adults, you don't have to accept what your child is saying. I don't care what the school counselor say. I don't care what the teachers say. I don't care. That child could feel all they want. They have to abide by the rules. If you want to bend the rules, if you are a Christian household and you don't find anything wrong with it, and you listen to this child and you adjust it because it's not violating you in any way, then you talk to your child about what it means to be gay. Okay? I'm not being one-sided on this because people are different. It's not about how I run my house. I'm just talking about in general. If your child come home and they say that they're gay and you're accepting of it and you don't have a problem with that child saying that, then you govern yourself accordingly and you help your child on that journey. If you're a Muslim and you don't believe that your child should be, or a Hebrew Israelite and you against it, then that child have to abide by your rules until they're 18. Don't let the government and society to tell you how to raise your children. I don't care, listen, I don't care about the issues because people are people. People have the right to be whoever they want to be and whoever God created them to be. I'm just talking the point of this, because I know people gonna get in my comment. The point of this that I'm making, y'all, is not letting the government, I don't care what society say, don't let society or the government tell you how to raise your children. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And that can go either way. Now, I'll use another example. I'm gonna use another example. Okay? The government said your child cannot drink if they're not 21. Well, I know people, the way that they run their household, they don't mind letting their children have a sip of beer as long as it's in the house, right? You can be on that side of the spectrum. Look. I remember when I was 5 years old, I used to sit next to my grandmama on her porch, and she would have the Pony Millers, and she'd take a swig. I was 5. She'd give me, and I'd take me a swig too. I'm not saying, and I turned out just fine. So it really just depends on if you're not abusing that child. Taking a swig of my grandmama's beer did not ruin me, right? So it just really depends, right? It depends on the parent, the child, what's the morals, what's the values, and of course I wasn't sitting there drinking beer or going getting beer out the refrigerator, but she let me taste it. She let me swig. When she took a drink, I took a little sip right there, right? It probably didn't do anything but make me go to sleep. But anyway, so don't allow the government to tell you how to raise your children. You are the voice. Don't allow your children, and this is probably goes into what I just previously said. Don't allow your children to disrespect you. Do not allow your children to disrespect you. Will they get flip at the mouth? Will they disrespect you? Yeah. Oh, let me go back. Well, I'm gonna combine these two because I should have said this at the last time also. African Americans, we haven't always let the government tell us how to raise our children, and we have not always allowed our children to disrespect us. But because of the rules of the government and society, a lot of us fell in line, and now our children are buck wild. They're acting a fool. They're acting a fool. They have no fear, no reverential fear of their parents, because we have allowed them to disrespect us. And what I hear a lot of parents saying is, oh, these children today, you can't do anything with these children today, right? It's like your parental power has been taken away, and you're no longer the primary voice in your child's life, because we've surrendered to the government. We surrendered to society and allow society to tell us how to raise our children. We are African people, and we have wisdom and power. We come from a people that's on this continent and those who were sent over to the West. We come from some wise people, okay? It's in us. We know how to raise children. We know how to raise children. We just have to connect back to who we are. We know how to raise children. We know how to raise children without beating them and abusing them. We know a child is supposed to have a reverential fear of their parents. Okay? Honor and respect their parents. When their parents speak, it is the natural way a child should listen. Do children get a little wayward? Yeah, but they always come back, right? But now we allow our children to talk back to us. We allow our children to speak to us as if they're speaking to their friends. As a matter of fact, some parents try to be their children's friends, right? And so Continental Africans, you still have such a strong respect for your parents. Y'all, the way Continental Africans still respect the elders, woo, I love it. Continental Africans respect their elders even now. But I want y'all to learn. Don't go down this path that we have gone down. Don't try to pick up the Western ways by letting the government or society tell you how to raise your children, or the West telling you how to raise your children, and do not allow your children to disrespect you. Because when that happens, then you stop respecting your elders. You throw them and you toss them away in nursing homes and facilities and all of that. I don't think I've seen not one. If it exists, I just haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen one nursing home in Kenya. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm sure there might be one here, but I haven't seen a nursing home, because Continental Africans still respect and honor their elders. The path that a lot of African Americans have gone down of not commanding the respect of their children is bad. Continental Africans, look at us, look at the mistakes that we've made, and do not go down that path. Another one. Do not see it as progress, or I have money and I have success, when you start buying your children video games. Video games for children is very addictive. If you buy video games for your children and you do not monitor their usage of the video games, you are dumbing them down. A lot of children in America, they are stuck in their rooms playing video games all day, all night. They take a break to go to school, and then they communicate through video games, and they play video games all day, all night. They are not outside playing like your children. Listen in the background. You can hear children in the background here. When I first got here, where I used to live, y'all, the children were skating and riding their bikes and laughing. It touched my soul because I said, dang, these children play outside. I remember when our children used to play outside like this. Man, I remember when we were young, how we used to play outside. My generation, we played outside like these African children today in 2022 play outside. We did that too. But our children today, they are inside, locked up in their rooms, playing video games all day. They're not getting fresh air. They're not getting good exercise. They're not playing. They're not building their social skills. Your children still have social skills. They're playing with each other. They're running outside. They're riding their bikes. They're getting fresh, beautiful African air, and they are getting sun. Don't do like us. Don't start buying your children video games, and all they're doing is being stuck in their room or playing video games. It does nothing for them socially. They're not building community. All of their friendships, everything is built through online. Don't do that. If you want to buy them video games, see, everything is about balance. If you want to buy them video games, you need to limit the time that they're playing those games. Have you ever seen, and the same thing with TV, right? I remember, I believe it was Obama said this. It was either him or Michelle. Former President or Obama and First Lady Michelle. I can't remember which one that said it. But they were talking about how their children only got to watch television maybe 1 or 2 hours a week. People that's in power in the world, they are not allowing their children to be programmed by TV and video games and social media. Okay? So let that be a lesson. Don't let your children, don't just sit your children in front of a TV, letting the video games and the TV raise them. Don't do it. Okay, another lesson that you can learn from us is build community. Look out for each other. Okay? Don't think individualistic. So here on the continent, you guys still have a sense of community. I don't see it as much in Nairobi as in other parts, but it's still here, right? You guys, you know, your children are still being raised together, cousins, sister-in-law, siblings, grandmother. Some of you all are in the same home. Keep that. Keep that. Don't do like us. We have become more individualistic. Being individualistic is the Western way of living. Every man for themselves, or me and my three and we good, right? But you can do more when you are of community, right? When you have people that you connect with, that y'all look out for each other, y'all support one another, right? You spend time with each other. Community is very important. African people are communal people. It's just that when we are influenced by the West, we become individualistic. And so it's kind of like the divide and conquer. If we're not together, it's easy to conquer us. It's easy to manipulate us, right? It's easier to control us if we're not together as community. All right? So another lesson that you want to learn, although, again, I'm not going to say all African Americans, but as a whole, y'all, we have become more individualistic than how we used to be, right? Family used to be in the country together. You know, we used to live in the same houses together, right? But as time went on, we became more individualistic. You guys still have your sense of community, probably not maybe how it used to be, but y'all have it a little bit more than we do. So I want you guys to focus on your community and building community, okay? So that's all I have to say. Can y'all add something? Even if you're an African American, what are some of the other things that you think that we let go of that we should have held on to? What are some of the other things, right? What are some of the other things that what you guys think that even continental Africans, do you feel like you've gotten away from some things that you would like to see you or your children get back to? All right, y'all, let me know. Let your girl know in the comments, okay? I love y'all. Peace. Bye. Mwah.